Pressure makes diamonds. And I want you to keep this in mind as we enter the energy of the upcoming new moon in Taurus. Now, Taurus loves stability, it loves comfort. Taurus is no stranger to hard work, and Taurus is about building foundations. Now, you are getting ready to build something new, right? We're in the beginning of the astrological year, right? We're in Taurus season. And with Taurus being the builder, this is the best new moon to build something new, right? The ideas and the motivation that you had during Aries season, you're now going to give form and structure to at this new moon in Taurus. So I want you to imagine building or constructing a new home from the ground up. Now, this is the moon where we are laying the foundation. So we're digging out the dirt. We are putting in posts. We are, laying cement, all that good stuff. However, for everything that you need to build this foundation, you may be missing something. There may be something amiss. There may be a resource that you don't have. And so something about this new moon is going to require you to be resourceful and for you to rely on previously obtained wisdom in order to create and in order to complete the task at hand. So if you want to know more about everything that this new moon in Taurus has to offer, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So this video is all about the upcoming new moon in Taurus happening on Sunday, April 27th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. All right, so we know the deal about new moons. It's when we set new intentions and we plant new seeds, right? That's nothing new. But I have to be honest with you, the astrology surrounding this new moon is not necessarily pleasant. I said in the intro that you're getting ready to build this foundation, but you're missing something, right? Like it's going to require you to be resourceful. It's like having the best of intentions and want to plant all these new seeds, but you're missing a particular garden tool. You don't have the right seeds. You may be arguing with your neighbor about where to put this flower bed, right? There are going to be uncomfortable situations, issues, power struggles, even that surround the energy of this new moon, okay? And so it's going to be really important for you to be steadfast. And this is where the energy of Taurus comes in. You kind of have to be stubborn. You kind of have to dig your heels into the dirt with this new moon. So whatever you are trying to plant, you kind of have to stand 10 toes down on that right now, as difficult as it may be, okay? Because like I said, pressure makes diamonds. And to have that diamond, you got to have the cold, you got to have the pressure, you got to have these seemingly unfavorable circumstances to end up with something beautiful. Okay. And so, of course, when we're talking about the new moon phase of the lunar cycle, this is when things are the darkest, right? And instead of being afraid of the dark, it's more so about realizing that you're being planted. This is the very beginning of the lunar cycle. This is why we set intentions and plant seeds at this stage, right? Now, it's important to remember that at the new moon stage, regardless of whether you're doing rituals or anything like that, this is the planning stage. This isn't the stage where you do. This is where you dream. This is where you visualize. This is where you conjure even the energy for which you will use to do later on. So when the moon is the darkest, when everything seems like, even when it seems like the environment around you is not conducive to planting, particularly with this new moon, you're going to have to plant regardless. Plant anyway. Do your best to traverse whatever obstacles, challenges, conflicts arrive at this time, because you've got something really important that you're building the foundation for. So don't let outside circumstances or anything like that deter you from doing so. And again, this plays into Taurus energy because Taurus is all about being stubborn, being steadfast, right? Taurus is immovable. Taurus moves when it wants to, right? If you've ever tried to move a bull, I mean, I have not. I'm pretty sure you haven't either, but it looks like it's a difficult task, right? It's about being stable, it's about being grounded. So, as much as the environment may be, not conducive to planting, like I said before, if you're experiencing power struggles, if you're experiencing just generally difficult circumstances at the moment, that Taurus, it's like you got to channel that Taurus energy and just say, listen, I don't care what's going on. This is what I'm building and I'm starting right now. All right, so that's sort of the basics when it comes to new moon energy and Taurus energy. And the other thing I'll say about Taurus energy is that it's very materialistic and not in a bad way, right? Taurus is associated with the five senses, Taurus is associated with material things. And so the foundation that you're building at this new moon is likely something tangible, right? Maybe you're saving up for a house, maybe you have a big ticket item that you want to purchase, or maybe you just want to get your finances in order. Right? Taurus is the sign of money. It's the sign of finances. So maybe that's the seed that you're planting at this new moon. Either way, to really tap into the energy of this particular new moon, plant seeds that are tangible, something that you can hold, something that you can have, something that you can possess, right? And I mean that in a positive way, right? We're not possessing people or anything like that. But this is the moon to plant tangible, fruitful, abundant seeds. All right, so now let's get into the numerology of this new moon and see what it has to offer. All right, so in terms of the numerology, this new moon in Taurus is happening at the 7th degree of Taurus. So this new moon is sponsored by the number 7. Now, the number 7 is a very spiritual number, right? It's referenced ad nauseum in the Bible. It is the number of completion. It's the number of wisdom. It's the number of intellect plus intuition. Okay, so it's very wise. And this is important given everything I've already mentioned, because to be resourceful, which you definitely may need to be at this new moon, you're going to have to recall your wisdom. You're going to have to rely on your wisdom. And by relying on your wisdom, what I really mean is that you take a look at sort of your past experiences, what you learned from them, and apply those lessons to the present situation or even a situation in the future, right? As much as you may want to rationalize or intellectualize the issues or the circumstances, it's going to require a lot more than that. It's going to require a bit of intuition. It's going to require, the wisdom that you've gained through experience. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind as you are planting these new seeds. Okay. And so when it comes to sort of textbook aspects of the number 7, it's deep and wise, right? It's not satisfied with surface level information. The number 7 in its intellectual probing is very much about what's underneath the surface, right? It's knowing that the real gold is buried deeper and won't stop until it finds it. Now, this bodes well with what I've said before. Pressure makes diamonds. Now, to find diamonds, and I mean the real ones, not the lab created ones, you have to go into a mine, right? You have to go deep under the surface in order to collect these diamonds. And so what that may mean, practically speaking, is that you may have to go back in time to a situation that you dealt with a year ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is, and extract that lesson. I want you to think of the lesson as the diamond that you're extracting and use that in order to move ahead, in order to facilitate this planting that you're doing at this new moon. It's going to require you to go underneath the surface and revisiting the past a little bit. Okay, and by underneath the surface, that could really be examining, deeply seated emotions, emotional trauma, experiences in life that really taught you a lot that may have been painful at that time. Either way, there's some emotional excavating that may be occurring at this new moon in Taurus. Okay. Now, the number 7 is also spiritual, it's curious, it's analytical, can also be a little reclusive, right? In excavating ourselves emotionally, that's very much an inside job. So, the energy surrounding this new moon, it's not very public. It's not like, hey, help me with this or guide me through this. This is like, all right, I need to go within whatever resources I need, whatever encouragement or even motivation I need to plant these seeds. I need to find it within as opposed to looking for it without or looking for it in other people. Okay. Now, the number 7 is associated with Libra. It's the Libra degree, and Libra is the 7th sign of the zodiac. Now, that's sort of contradictory to what I just said because Libra is the sign of relationships. So, how does it work if we're supposed to emotionally excavate and go within when everything about the energy of this new moon is about other people, right? That Libra degree is about relationships, hence other people. So, in our dealings with other people, right? And other people may be providing stimuli during this time, right? They may be, rocking the boat. They may be affecting us in some way as we are planting these seeds. In order to deal with these relationships, we do have to go within, right? Going within not only serves us, it serves the people that we interact with. Remember, relationships are just a mirror. The relationships in your life are really just showing you aspects of yourself. And so if you want to change those relationships, and that may be what you want to do at this new moon, depending on where this is happening in your natal chart, to change those relationships, you have to change yourself, right? If you're looking in the mirror and you notice that your hair is out of place, you don't touch the mirror to change your hair. You touch your hair and adjust it. That may be a real thing for some of you at this new moon. All right. So as much as there is this, I'm not going to say requirement, but as much as this new moon is really urging us to go within, it's urging us to go within, perhaps to change the relationships that we're experiencing without. Okay. Now, the number 7, if we look at it in terms of the tarot, it's associated with the Chariot card, okay? And the Chariot is sort of what it sounds like, right? Chariot is a mode of transportation. It sort of signifies being on a quest. So this is sort of the beginning of a road trip, if you will. This is the beginning of some sort of movement. Some sort of journey is beginning right now, okay? And there's something about this journey that's quite profound. This isn't merely just getting from point A to point B. This is a journey of growth, right? This is a journey of finding your inner value. I will not stop reiterating this. Pressure makes diamonds, right? And this isn't just the title of the video for no reason. It's really because that pressure that you're feeling right now is necessary to produce something beautiful and arguably something highly valuable within ourselves. And that's probably what this journey is about right now. It's not merely just about, oh, I want this thing. Let's say you want a new car, right? Because Taurus, material things, it's a great time to plant seeds of material things that you want. Oh, I want this new car, right? Now, that's arguably a big ticket item to purchase. And maybe you've got different hangups, insecurities, different issues you've dealt with concerning money in the past. And those are not just about money. When you look under the surface, a lot of it has to do with self-worth. It has to do with value, whether within yourself or how people valued you. Like, there's levels to this, right? And perhaps the seed of I would like to purchase a new car is going to take you on a journey that perhaps you didn't even anticipate going on. Because in saving for this car, in getting this car and planting those seeds right now, you're really on a journey of self-worth and repairing that within yourself. And then to throw in that bit about Libra, how people value you, how they see you, doing that internal work changes their perception of you and how they value you, right? So I say all of this to say that this quest that you are going on, it's a lot deeper than you think. It's not just let me have this thing, because Taurus on the surface is superficial. Taurus, like I said, is materialistic. Taurus is about, I want a yacht, I want this car, I want to go on a shopping spree, I want to have a spa day, I want to plant all of these things of material value, worldly value. But what lies underneath the surface, as evidenced by the energy of the number 7, is like inner value, inner self-esteem, inner self-worth. That's the true journey that you're planting right now. So be mindful of that and lean into that. Now, some of you may be wondering, okay, so how do I know what inner journey I'm going to be on? You know how you're going to know? The relationships around you, because they're going to show you what you need to work on. Remember, like I said, relationships are really just a mirror. And so whatever is being mirrored to you at this time is showing you the inner journey that you are embarking on at this time. So pay attention. If you are triggered, if there are conflicts, which there might be because of the astrology surrounding this new moon, it's important for you to not shy away from that or to miss the lesson entirely. Yes, someone may be triggering you. Someone may be treating you less than you deserve. Someone may be mistreating you, or whatever the case may be. Don't just focus on what they're doing. Focus on what lesson they're trying to show you about yourself. These are the seeds that you're simultaneously planting when you want to plant seeds of a new car or a new home at this time. Okay, so it's almost like there's this bifurcation that's happening at this new moon, where on the one hand, we're planting seeds of money, finances, material possessions, very Taurus-like things, while on the other hand, we're simultaneously planting seeds of inner growth, of inner abundance. And that's super duper important. Now, when it comes to numerology, I also like to examine what's known as the Sabian symbols. And the Sabian symbols are archetypal stories that relate to each degree of the zodiac. And so 7 degrees of Taurus is called a sleigh without snow. And so that sort of bodes well with what I was saying before. You have this sleigh or even a snowmobile, right? Because it's more likely you'd have a snowmobile as opposed to a sleigh. But there's no snow. So what do, right? It's planting seeds, but it's either not the right time or you don't have all the resources. You've got this souped up snowmobile, but it's August, right? It may not be time for this thing. And that may just be like a wrinkle in the story of whatever you're planting right now. There's all these lessons to be learned, all these things to excavate underneath the surface. But a part of this that you need to understand is that it may not be the right time. Maybe this is a seed that needs to be planted in your mind at this time before it's literally planted in the ground at another time. So some of you may have ideas, some of you may have things that come up that you want to plant, but it may not be the right time. Okay. Or for some, right, you have this snowmobile, but there's no snow. It's like you don't have all the resources. I think a better example or a better way to explain this is that you have this snowmobile, it's snowing, but you have no gas to go in it. And so now you have to be resourceful. Now you have to think, okay, how am I going to make this go? How am I going to get the resources that I need? I think that many of us are going to experience that facet of this energy at this new moon. But either way, understand whatever limitations present themselves at this new moon are ultimately help you to go on this quest, right, of going within. Resourcefulness requires you to sort of muster up inner strength, whether it's inner physical strength, whether it's inner mental strength, whether it's inner emotional strength. Some of us may be called upon to really dig deep and find that in order to be resourceful to plant the seeds that we're meant to plant at this time. And remember, regardless of whatever's going on externally, if you've got seeds to plant, plant them. Okay? That's the most important thing that you should take away from my message today. All right, so now that we talked about the numerology, let's get into the astrology and see what is going on in the cosmos at this time. All right. So, as I mentioned before, the astrology surrounding this new moon is not necessarily favorable. Most notably, at the same time that this new moon is happening, we have a powerful opposition between Mars and Pluto. Okay. And so, this energy is very much about pride, power struggles, main character energy, manipulation, but most importantly, it's a very transformative transit. And transformation doesn't always feel so good. I know we talk about, or it is talked about, the caterpillar to butterfly pipeline and how beautifully profound it is. You're once a lowly caterpillar and you transform into this beautiful butterfly that can basically soar. But no one talks about the process of getting from caterpillar to butterfly. And essentially, when the caterpillar enters the chrysalis, where it remains for an extended period of time, it completely breaks down into mush. Everything that made it a caterpillar disintegrates. That is where transformation lives. It's not this pretty, oh, I decide to do this, and then boom, the next day it happens. A lot of times, certain parts of ourselves, parts of our environments have to die before this transformation can occur. And that's very much the undertone of this transit of Mars opposite Pluto. And the thing is, this new moon in Taurus is smack dab in between Mars and Pluto, which means that the moon is going to be square to Mars and square to Pluto at the very same time. This is quite volatile energy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say, oh, no, this is tough energy to traverse. With the moon square Mars, pride could really be something that stands in the way of planting these seeds, right? There could be a lot of stubbornness. There could be this emotional stagnation also that's preventing you from planting these seeds. Following your heart could be difficult, especially if you are met with conflict and opposition and resistance from other people, right? Mars is the planet of conflict. And with the moon square Mars, there is this conflict, whether it's internal or external, that triggers you, which makes it very difficult to focus on the task at hand if you're feeling angry, if you're fighting other people, or if you're even fighting yourself. Right? And so there's this energy of I'm triggered, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. There could be rage, there could be conflict, competition that's sort of getting in the way of me handling the task at hand, which is planting those seeds. Then at the same time, you have the moon square Pluto. And this is like, with the moon in Taurus, this could be your stubbornness that stands in the way of transformation. Right? Moon in Taurus wants to stay where it's at. It wants to be comfortable. Meanwhile, Pluto is trying to get you out of your comfort zone and experience a death and rebirth. And of course, who wants to experience hardship? Who willingly raises their hands and said, yes, I will go through hardship. I will go through the fire. I mean, people who are really advanced in their spiritual journey, they tend to do that because they understand that fire is purifying and that there's everything beautiful and everything that they want is on the other side of this transformation. But for most of us, myself included, I would not raise my hand and volunteer for hurt, for pain, right? But that pride, that wanting to stay in your comfort zone could really be stagnating this transformation. And perhaps the seeds that you're planting at this new moon are transformative. To use my example before, maybe you're planting seeds of a new car. Maybe you've been without a car for years. Maybe commuting to work has been hell. That car just doesn't represent something nice to have in your driveway. That car represents freedom. It represents mobility. That's transformation in your life. But if you're unwilling to do the things to facilitate that transformation, especially because you want to stay in your comfort zone, you're stagnating yourself. Lack of resources could also make it difficult to move forward and experience that transformation. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And then most importantly, especially given what I talked about in terms of the energy signature of the number 7, right? It's not superficial, it's emotional excavation. And in this emotional excavation, issues regarding self-worth stand in the way of this change, of this transformation, which could be very frustrating, very triggering, right? So it's kind of like we're getting hit from all angles externally in terms of this new moon. It's like you just want to plant these seeds, right? Let's say you're someone that's really into gardening, like literally. And all you want to do is spend your Sunday morning in the garden, digging up and planting and getting your garden all together. Meanwhile, you've got a whole bunch of kids that need this. You've got a husband or a wife that's asking for this. You've got power struggles. You've got these appointments. You've got all of these things that are like distractions from the one thing that you want to do, which is planting those seeds. And so remember, pressure makes diamonds. So whatever you're experiencing externally at this time is ultimately working in your favor to produce something extremely valuable. So definitely keep that in mind. All right, so now that we talked about the astrology, let's talk about manifesting and the practical use of this energy of this new moon in Taurus. All right, so it goes without saying, especially because I've said this ad nauseum, that new moons are all about setting new intentions and planting new seeds. Now, regardless of whatever rituals you do, understand that this is the time when you conjure, when you think, when you visualize. This isn't the time to do. When the moon is the darkest at the new moon phase, the seeds that we're planting are mental, they are emotional, they are planted on the inside. I want you to think of the new moon phase like when the sperm meets the egg and now this fertilized egg is planted in the womb. Okay, the real work of development begins after this seedling is planted, right? And that's exactly what we do at this new moon. We dream, we visualize, we set the plans. Within a couple of days will be the time for you to start taking action, right? And so this is the time when you visualize and you think about and you set the intentions of what is it that you want? What do you want to have? You know, the key phrase for Taurus is I have, like I possess. And so when we're dreaming, when we're intending, right, when we're thinking about the things that we want, think of it from the space as you already have it. Because Taurus says, I have, not I want, not I will have, but I have, present tense. So when writing your intentions, what is it that you have? If you want that new car, say, okay, I have this new Mercedes. It's in my driveway. I have the relationship that I want. I have $20,000 in my savings account right now. I have, present tense. And as the days push on, that's when you're going to start taking action towards having these things, right? So it's about setting intentions, planting new seeds, and already having that which you desire. All right. And when it comes to the practical use of this energy, be stubborn. Like I said before, Taurus is digging its heels in the ground. It's not about to be moved or swayed based on anything. Taurus moves when it wants to. So again, regardless of what comes up, regardless of what anyone else thinks, what anyone else has to say, if there's competition, conflict externally, understand that this is the time for you to plant your seeds. So do the best to do so. And if this conflict, if this turmoil is coming from within, do your best to work through it, yet still plant those seeds. All right? All right, my love. So that concludes this video on the upcoming new moon in Taurus. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this new moon and beyond. All right, for information on all of my products and services, you'll find that in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the absolute best for this upcoming new moon in Taurus, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.